welcome to the second session of what was originally going to be one giant big super episode, but ended up just being one episode, or individual episodes. This I'd like to talk about games I'm actually designing and working on myself. And for that today, I am actually going to talk about Crayon. Now, if you don't know me or if you don't know what's going on, I'm actually working on 7 different games. Each of them are all connected in one way or another. Okay, that sounds like a lot. 7 games. I'm overly ambitious. I know. Trust me. I know all the stress of this. Each game is a part of what I'm calling the Portal Punk saga, which Portal Punk is just going to actually be, to describe it best, it's like take Wizard of Oz, but make the secondary world, like Oz, into the primary world as well. And then make each continent of our world, which, if you know Portal Fantasy, the secondary world is traveled from primary world within low fantasy setting, which would be the primary world being our world, and you probably don't have any interest in all that. But it would be like, oh, okay, each continent of our world is its own different realm, and its own different little place, and there's going to be a game that represents each of the civilized continents. There's 7 in total. Yes, I know there's only 7 continents, only one's not civilized. But we're working with a different globe too, as the story will tell. But each game is its own separate thing, has its own separate story kind of thing going on. Some are light, some are heavy, some are close to party game-ish, some are very Euro. Like for instance, I have one called Necromorphica, which is going to be a worker placement strategy racing game, and that sounds like so much, but really it's kind of a Mad Max kind of thing where you're putting traps up for your opponents to run into, and you're arming weapons with your workers and whatnot, and you're trying to muck up things with your opponent and get to the end yourself. But we're not talking about that game today. That's a future episode. I want to talk about what's been one of my favorite projects, Crayon. Okay, now, Crayon is unique because it's not a mechanic I use a lot. It uses a mechanic I don't play that much of, and that's the make an idiot out of yourself mechanic, where you're using goofy actions to do what you want. Now I'm going to use this mechanic. Sorry, I'm trying to think and I don't have anything written down. I'm going to use this mechanic to kind of represent your buying mechanic for a deck building game. For instance, okay, we'll show you. This is like the super prototype, and this is going to be like kind of just what we play with to test the game, but you get to see it anyways. The cards will be divided into 3 sections. I'm sorry, I am holding up with the wrong hand. The top section will have 2 lines, which are half of the sentences. The middle section will have 1 line attached to whatever color the basic color is, and this is only for the basic 8 colors. And in the bottom, we'll have a line that goes with the color descriptor. For instance, this is a pale red card. So what pale red would do is, if you yell out in victory, you can take 2 non-red actions immediately, and there'll be like a limit of actions per turn. We're working with 1 right now. And pale, basically, all cards that are pale, what happens, you declare action sickly. Everyone places 1 new monochrome, which monochromes are cards that stick to you. As long as you have them on the field, you cannot win. And every turn, you have to do what the card says, which is going to be some goofy action, like one might be you have to bark like a dog every time you talk or something. If you fail to do that and an opponent catches you, you have to take another monochrome. Monochromes can be beaten by taking the full actions on 3 cards that would be listed on the monochrome. No, when I say full action, I'm talking about both lines up there, and that'll defeat the monochrome. Play it in your deck, and you can play on an opponent later on in the game if you want. Now, so that would be what pale cards does, for instance. And each card does something different. There's going to be cards called Color of the World cards, which is kind of a board mechanic that as you go along on this board, it just gives you something for your victory condition cards to kind of do for you. As you go on the board, there will be different things you can do, like some cards allow you to draw free cards or purge cards or whatnot. Or, pardon me, the term in the game is going to be wash, not purge. And then the middle one, like for instance, all red cards will have that red ability. Now what this is on top is to buy cards, either simple or complex colors. You have to take 2 cards and do a combination of the top line and the bottom line on these cards. So for instance, say I want to buy a card or just a basic color, I would slam my hand on the table and declare my health with gusto, for instance. And these are just toying around with ideas, mind you. These aren't like the official final. We're going to see if these ideas are fun before we sell on those actual actions. That's it. It's not a genre or not a mechanic I use widely in my normal gaming, but it fit the theme of the game and the feel I want to do for the game, with the whole crazy, hyper-imaginative kind of thing where you're making the world around you more colorful by taking these actions. Now, complex colors, you have to have 8 complex colors to win. Once you have 8 colors, you win if you have no monochromes, or 8 complex colors. And these are caused by a combination of 3 colors. Like, for instance, it might require 3 cards where, say, a red, I'm trying to think of what I have, where it's red, black, and dark will get you the blood complex color. And what the blood complex color will do is it'll go in your deck, and it's pretty much a dead victory card, kind of like the money in Dominion or whatnot. But not the money, the territories in Dominion. But to get those, you'll have to do both lines up here, or both the top lines. And each color, there's 8 basic colors, and there's 8 basic colors and 8 different hues. The colors can be between pale, pale is one of them, I know. Well, it doesn't matter, you'll see in due time. But each of those cards will, as I said, they have 2 cookie cutter abilities amongst their own color or their own hue. And then each of them has their own unique ability that represents the flavor of the color. Like, for instance, red would represent the color, or the character red. You have a character blue, which will, his whole mechanics will be different. And everyone's mechanics are different throughout. And basically, whoever has 8 cards in the end, or 8 complex colors, and no monochromes wins the game. No monochromes in play on them, I mean. Another thing about the game is, as I mentioned earlier, the color of the world mechanic will be kind of a build a board kind of thing where you're going along. And this will, as I said, help you draw cards and help you, or make you curse your opponents or stuff like that. It might have some bad parts that you can land on. But in the end, some of the abilities on the cards will push you across the board. I hope you enjoyed this description. I'm sorry I kind of fumbled through it. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head, flying my seat today. And hopefully you'll enjoy it once I actually get out, and hopefully it turns out great. Alright, thank you.